All right. Again, happy Lent, everyone. Happy Lent, yes. I know you don't hear those two words in the same sentence very often. Happy Lent. Um, but we're going to try to make it work this season. Happy Lent. So today, I just want to kind of frame the season of Lent a little bit for everyone and for myself. If you were here Wednesday night for Ash Wednesday, we kind of went into this a little bit. But for those of you who weren't, we'll do it today. If you were here on Wednesday, you might be hearing some of the same content. I do apologize, but it won't be the same. So, but yeah, Lent is here. I was having a discussion with a dear friend and a brilliant theologian, mind you, the other day. And the words that were uttered were, I hate Lent. I hate Lent. And trust me, I've thought this and heard this before. No one says like, yes, Lent's here, yes. You don't hear kids like, yeah, I don't really need Christmas, but Lent, Mom, how many days to Lent? That's not what happens. But we chatted about this, why they hate Lent, and the story that was shared was very vulnerable and real. They shared their fears, their sorrows, their sadness. They shared how depression can come upon them at any unexpected time, anxiety. They shared stories of their trauma, of their disappointment, and ended by these honest words, I live Lent. I live Lent. And I don't need to just come to church and have the salt rubbed into my wounds during Lent. And I don't know if you all have experienced like that kind of like that Lent where it's like we're going to put our heads down and just trudge through Lent, But that can happen. That can happen during Lent. But here's what's great. As a pastor, I can actually try to make Lent not miserable. Like I can try to do that. So that's my goal, is to make Lent not miserable. It's a good goal, right? I live Lent. I think this is one of the most universal statements ever. I think we all live Lent, whether we know it or not. In our own ways. In our own ways, we live Lent. We all come into here with our own stories of pain and suffering and sorrow and not enoughness and insecurity and all those things, right? Those are the things that we bring into this space. And I would say the way that we usually cope with those things is we develop a mask. We create a mask for ourselves. And this is kind of a projection. It's kind of a projection of okayness. I'm okay. Or maybe it's I'm more okay than you. Or it could be on the flip side. It could be I'm a victim. Some kind of mask to guard us against each other. And these masks, right, they don't necessarily come from the source within us, from the wellspring of love within us, right? These masks aren't really a reflection, the imago Dei, the image of God. These masks they come from looking out the side of our eyes at others. They coming to look at the culture or look at others in our sphere of influence. We develop our masks not from our own desire of what's just good for us, but what are they up to? What do I need to put forward to kind of almost compete with them? It's all kind of a comparative thing that we build these masks from. There was a really smart thinker named Rene Girard who discovered this about humans, that our desire doesn't just come from ourselves, like what we think is good for us. He said that our desires come from what a model or someone else wants. So our desires are mimicked from other people. You can see this with kids. You put a kid in a room with a toy and they might play with it, but if another kid comes in the room and grabs this other toy, that kid will want that toy, right? And then they'll fight over that toy. This is what we do. This is what advertising is based on. It's what social media is based on. It's what the news is based on. This phenomena, this cultural phenomena of comparing ourselves to others and then differentiating ourselves against others, coming into conflict, et cetera, et cetera. What I'm saying is that these masks we put on are not from our own source, from the love of God. And see, when we relate to ourselves and each other based on these masks, we tend to sound a lot like the devil does in our gospel story, right? We tend to get into this game of if-then conditionality with ourselves and with each other. So if you notice from the story, if you're the Son of God, then command this stone to turn to bread. Because then you can look like this mask of this awesome, powerful God, right? Or if you're the Son of God, worship me, and then it will all be yours. And again, you'll meet the standards of this God mask. If you're the Son of God, then fling yourself off this cliff. Prove it, Jesus. And the devil also did this back in Genesis, at the beginning of the story, in the garden. If you eat this fruit, then you'll be like God. Gerard would say that the devil is like the most nefarious model in the universe, the most nefarious. Catches our eye, distracts us, pulls us into this way of competition, comparison, power, prestige. The devil personifies this social contagion of mimetic desire. And this sucks the joy out of Lent when we deal with each other in this way. This sucks the joy out of Lent. Because we religious people have our own mask, right? The mask of piety or moral superiority or whatever it is, right? And when we identify with those masks, we don't even know we're wearing them. We just are them. We become these masks without even knowing it. And this makes it a slog. It makes church a slog and it makes life a slog, right? And I would say that if church is a slog and if life is a slog, then the devil has entered in somewhere or everywhere. We can easily turn this place every Sunday into the Lenten Olympics. You all are spiritual warriors. We're going to put our heads down and get through this thing. You know? Got to work for that Easter joy. We really have to flog ourselves and perform our piety or righteousness to feel like we really deserve that Easter joy when it finally comes, right? This is the way the devil talks. If you notice, Jesus doesn't deal in if-thens. Doesn't deal in if-thens. Jesus deals in, what I would say, since-nows. So, since I undid the illusion that Adam and Eve fell prey to, now you can know it isn't real when you start to fall under it. Since I denied the devil and exposed his lies, now you can know that I am your only God, who wants nothing more than for you to know how loved you are at all times. Since on the cross, I absorbed all the pain, disconnection, alienation, not enoughness, insecurity, suffering, and betrayal that the devil puts on your shoulders. Now you can be free of its grip. You can see the devil's lies for the unreality that they are and the pain they lead to. Jesus exposes the devil's fraud for what it is, right? As you notice in the story, Jesus keeps the focus off of this nefarious model, pulling him into competition and power over, right? Jesus keeps his focus off that nefarious model of the devil and keeps his focus on the Father, all the way to the cross and beyond. See, the devil was trying to keep Jesus alive and put this mask on Jesus. Like, this is what God looks like, right? Keep going as this like powerful, supreme being that towers over others. But Jesus decided to take this redemptive love and take this mask all the way to the grave, to show that God's love isn't power over others, it's power under others. Jesus undoes this illusion that Adam fell under in the garden, which led to this mimetic rivalry. He exposes the illusion and gives us a new story about God, about ourselves, about each other, and about everything. See, Lent is not the season to harden your mask or to upgrade your mask. It's the season to first become aware of the mask that you have on, because we all have at least one. And then, once you know it's safe, which in Jesus it is, you can take the mask off, or at least peek out from behind it, to let Jesus tend to you, the fleshy, mortal, easily bruised human under the mask the devil has convinced you to protect yourself with. And when you do this yourself, maybe you can be a model of vulnerability, not competition or differentiation. A model to others to allow them to take their masks off. Maybe then you can talk to the humans under the masks, like Jesus does to you. Maybe then you can relate to each other as humans in need of love and healing, rather than performative masks of success and okayness and power and prestige, or on the flip side, as a mask of victim, downtrodden, whatever it is you use to protect yourself from the other. You can let that mask down during Lent. Lent is not a dirge. Luther hated dirges. And though we have removed the A word from the sanctuary, the alle, I won't say it, alle, you know what I mean? We don't say that word during Lent. It's a practice, but even so, Jesus doesn't stay away until Easter. Jesus doesn't stay away until Easter Sunday. Yes, we live Lent. But here we practice kneeling at this altar, not in a posture of self-flagellation, but in a posture of awe, astounded by how deep into our lowest valleys God's healing word goes to love us back to life. See, Jesus takes away our need to have a mask and gives us back ourselves, made in the image of his love. And though you and I will likely on Monday or Tuesday put our masks back on, I pray that you know that the human under that mask is who Jesus is out to heal, redeem, and restore. Not to make you into more and more into that image of that mask, but to make you more and more into the image of God's never-ending love. Happy Lent. Amen.